What is going on, everybody? Shout out to everybody who is here so far. Welcome to another Friday live stream on the channel. I didn't do one last week because I was unavailable at the time to be able to do one. So this is making up for last week. So the topics I'm going to cover today is going to be some stuff that I was supposed to talk about last week and some stuff that came out this week. But I'm just waiting for as many people as possible to come in. But make sure, if you haven't done so already, to go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and share. If you are new to the channel, welcome, and hit that subscribe button. And then we will get started at around 4:10. So let's see, who do we have in here so far? We have Angie, Jamal, Letitia, Joseph, Versatile Legacy. What is going on, everybody? I hope everybody had a good week. I know I did, despite it being extremely hot this week, but I stayed as cool and hydrated as possible. And speaking of hydrated, I have my water bottle right near me, just in case. What's going on, Pinky JYB? What's going on, 007 Spidey 2, Buzzer Cam H1, the My Voice channel? What's going on? What's going on? We have a lot of topics that we are covering today. Like I said, it's going to be some stuff that I wanted to talk about last week and some stuff, of course, that has come out this week. Hello, Donna. Hello, Stephanie. Says that I have so far 28 people in the chat, or not in the chat, but in the room. Make your presence be known if you have not done so already. Hey, Tina, how are you doing? How's everybody doing, first and foremost? And again, if you want notifications to come to your phone whenever I upload a new video, the number is going across the bottom with the banner. Let's see. Axum Kush, what's going on? Sunlight, hello, how are you? Autobot Jazz 1, what's going on? What's going on, Justin? I'm gonna get started in about 5 more minutes. Just want to make sure that there is many people in the room so people don't miss out on too much. And even if they do, that's what the playback is for. I'm gonna go ahead and get started right now. This and to talk about first off this because this wasn't a topic that I had lined up. But y'all see all that stuff that's going on right now over in Afghanistan. I'm starting it off with this because I'm not doing like a whole topic about it. It wasn't in my lineup, but I just wanted to bring that up. It's crazy what's going on over there right now. I like the amount of videos and stuff that I have seen just in the last 2 days alone is crazy. And but one of the craziest ones I saw was that it was on Instagram where they broke into a gym and they were literally using the workout equipment. Like they were on the elliptical and everything like that. Like they are having the time of their life over there in the midst of a crisis. It's crazy how all of that stuff is just going down. But that's what happened. That's what it looks like when a government is overthrown. For those who didn't know what it looked like before, that is exactly what it looks like. The most craziest one so far that I saw today was them actually taking babies and tossing them over this wall, like this fence, like this barbed wire fence, so they can get them over. And you just have to hope that the people on the other side caught the child. But there's a mess going on over in Afghanistan right now. Yeah, 007 Spidey. Yeah, they were tossing babies. Like I saw it on the news. Like they were actually holding the babies by their legs or by their arms and like literally tossing them over. And like I said, you just had to hope that somebody caught the child. Okay, it is officially 4:10, so we are going to go ahead now and get started. But before I actually get into these topics, um, can everybody in this chat, no matter who it is that you pray to, it really doesn't matter at this point. Um, send your prayers out to Nicole's view. I know some of you saw Harvey did a video about this topic or situation. I think it was last week, where he was talking about Nicole's husband. You know, he was in the hospital because he had caught COVID. Well, me and Nicole are friends on Facebook, so she's been giving us the play-by-play and updates and everything when it comes to her husband's condition. So at one point, since the timing of Harvey putting that video out there, you know, he had just got in the hospital. And then I believe that he got out of the hospital and now he's back in the hospital in a not so better condition than where he was when he went in the first time. So that's why you haven't been hearing or seeing any commentary from Nicole for the last week or so, because she's dealing with that. But she did say that her and her son did take a WUVIT test and both of them tested negative. So that's a good thing. So it didn't spread from her husband to her and her son and their son. But he's right now he's like as a matter of fact, let me go onto her Facebook and actually read what she said. It says up at the hospital, and I'm gonna say with her husband, I'm not gonna put her husband's name on there. He's doing his best to fight through the pain and the aftermath of WUVID. They're still trying to minimize his blood clots and run a few tests on his heart. His white blood cell count are higher than normal due to fighting the infection that was in his system, but he's hanging in there. Thank you all for your continued thoughts and prayers. That was the last or the latest post that she made. So definitely send your prayers out to her and her family in this very difficult times. And I'm sure whenever everything is right again and good on their end, then she'll be back on YouTube. And I'm sure that when she comes back, if that's up to her, she'll probably talk about it in a stream or something like that. Carlton Way One, you said, do they know how he may have gotten it? I can't even call it. That's something you would have to ask her, because maybe she would be the only one that would know, because the doctors may have told her, or maybe he probably got exposed to it by someone else who knows what the case may be. But I thought it was just very interesting because he got it and she and her son were both negative. But that's a good thing that they were negative, but I just thought it was interesting that it didn't spread from him to them, and seeing as how they all live in the same household. So I don't know if he has any pre-existing health conditions or whatever the case may be. I don't feel like that's my place to even ask that question to her. I said that's why it's best that whenever she feels the time of the need to want to talk about it, then she'll talk about it. But with that being said, let's start getting into these topics, and I'm gonna start it off with something that's actually very positive. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and we'll go ahead and get this thing going. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is the Hidden History Museum that Tariq Nasheed put a campaign out for, and the goal being met. So as you can see, this is, if you follow Tariq, he's been talking about wanting to get a true black history museum. This is the country's first museum of untold black history. And he's been campaigning for the last month or so to get the funds to actually get this thing up and running. And yesterday or 2 days ago, the goal was met, because the goal was $1 million. And as you can see, they have surpassed that goal. It says 1,143,000 $53 USD or US dollars by 10,815 backers. So the goal has definitely been met. So now they can start to get the ball really, really rolling. And what makes this awesome is that this came from the people. This didn't come from outside sources. This came from the people to get this thing up and running. Say what you want about Tariq, but when he has his mindset on something that he's going to get something done, he usually follows through. So definitely shout out to him for actually and the people for helping accomplish this goal. And I'm very certain that when this museum opens up, it's going to be a huge deal. And I can't wait to see. I would actually travel out to the West Coast to go see this. Like for real, for real. Like if I found out like whenever the opening, like if like whenever they're having a grand opening or whatever like that, like if I was to ever find out when that was, if I found out like in a good decent amount of time, I would actually book my flight to go out to LA just to go to that. And I'm sure anybody else who lives in the surrounding area has no problem getting there, or any other people that's traveling a little bit further will come out there as well. So I wanted to kick the stream off with that. So there's people are, I think people are still donating, so you can still donate even the goal, even though the goal has been met. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy the link real quick. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen right quick. Then I'm gonna post it in here. Oops, open up a new tab by mistake. So there's the link to the in the post in the chat. If you want to donate some more to the museum, you can go ahead and do so. But definitely, congratulations to Tariq for getting his goal met. And then literally, the goal got met in crunch time because literally they were down to hours with like thousands of dollars that was still needed to meet the goal, and they met the goal literally in crunch time. So that's pretty awesome. So let's move on to the next story. Now, the next story is not so positive. I'm kind of going around a little around the world a little bit with these stories, and that is what happened in Haiti last week with that earthquake. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like Haiti has a dark cloud hovering over it. I don't know what the case may be with Haiti and the earthquakes that they get, which seems to be a lot. Like I see that they get more, they almost get as many earthquakes as California. Remember at one time California used to get a whole bunch of earthquakes? And that seems like Haiti constantly gets earthquakes. I remember the first earthquake story I heard dealing with Haiti was back when I was in college, back in like between the years of '07 and 2011, because my roommate at the time uh was is Haitian, and I didn't know he was Haitian until I had heard him on the phone having a conversation with his mother, and it caught me off guard because he didn't speak with the accent. He was from New Jersey, and he spoke like, just like a regular person from New Jersey would talk. Like I never heard an inkling of an accent, and that was the first time I ever heard about a Haiti earthquake was at that time. But then they just keep frequently happening. And what's so crazy is Haiti and the Dominican Republic share the same island. They're on the same island, but Haiti seems to be the one that always gets affected by these earthquakes. Angie, you just said exactly what I just said. The Dominican Republic, they're on the same island, but they never seem to get affected by these earthquakes. That's just real it's kind of scary and random at the same time. But it's sad because the people of Haiti, it seems like they can't catch a break. It's like every time they are in the process of seeming to rebuild from the last disaster, here comes another one to sweep right in and to add on more destruction from the previous disaster. Like they haven't really fully recovered from a couple of earthquakes ago, and now they have another one. Stephanie said my coworker's father got killed in that earthquake in Haiti. Oh, that's sad. That's crazy. And this was a massive earthquake. They said this earthquake was a 7.2 on the Richter scale. The highest number that an earthquake can hit is a 10. So when you think about it and put it into perspective, it was a little less than 3 points away from being from the highest impact earthquake that you could ever deal with. That was intense. A 7.2. At that point, everything around you is falling. The ground is literally opening up. You probably can't even stand without falling. I remember back in 2011, and it's crazy, it's coming up on 10 years since this happened. Here I am in the state of Maryland, and it was earthquake that came through here. And it was scary because I remember I was laying down, I was watching TV, and all of a sudden my bed started to shake back and forth. I'm like, what is going on? And the stuff in my room started to move. Like it caught me completely off guard. And then I turned on the news and it was like breaking story, an earthquake just came through the DMV area. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, you mean to tell me that we're living above a fault line on the East Coast? Like that was some scary shit. To those of you who was on the East Coast back in 2011, y'all know exactly. Well, if you live between the states of maybe Virginia all the way up, because it came from like Virginia or maybe a top part of North Carolina and literally traveled up all the way to the top of the East Coast, all the way up into Maine. Like it literally traveled. Jamal said, I remember when Philadelphia had an earthquake in 2011. Yeah, that was the same one. That was the same one I felt here in Maryland. If I felt it here, I know you felt it there. Hello, please leave a message after the tone. But yeah, that was scary. And I can't remember how impactful they said that particular earthquake was, but it was nothing like what Haiti's dealing with right now. I can tell you that right now. But I remember, if you remember this, if you saw on the news, they had to put the scaffolding on the monument. And you know how everyone thought that it was so pretty because of how the lights looked on it because of the scaffolding lights. That's why they had to put that there, because they had to make sure they had to go and fix the cracks in the monument. They said if this earthquake was even more powerful, it would have definitely made the monument collapse, because they definitely said there was some cracks on the side of the structure. And the scariest part about an earthquake opposed to a tornado or a hurricane or a bad thunderstorm or a flood or a snowstorm or a blizzard is that that is the only natural disaster that does not have a warning. No one can predict or see an earthquake coming. It just happens. There's no, as far as I know, technology out there that can predict when an earthquake is going to happen. They can only just tell you how strong it is after it has happened using a seismograph. Because the seismograph is constantly in rotation and it's going, it almost looks like the lie detector testing, that little needle goes back and forth. And it just it does like a little line with a little dot, with a little line going, like a little jolt line going back and forth. But when that thing starts to squiggle across the paper, that's when you know an earthquake is hit. And the further out it goes and the faster it goes, the more stronger the earthquake and intense the earthquake is. So that's the scary part about an earthquake, is an earthquake can happen and it's unexpected because there's no warning sign to tell you when it's going to happen or how long it's going to last. That's the other thing. You don't know how long it's going to last. So I hope that, I feel bad for the people of Haiti. Like, they just can't catch a break when it comes to this. Rebuild somewhat and then get it destroyed all over again. But anyway, let me move on to the next story. Now, this story right here is very, very, very recent. So recent, in fact, it happened yesterday. And I said, let me go ahead and talk about it today. So, in case y'all did not know, yesterday in DC, there was a guy, and I'm gonna play the video, where he literally he was threatening to set off, as you can see, multiple bombs on Capitol Hill. Now, I'm not sure of his reasoning as to why he was going to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and play this video and see what he's talking about. The video is 57 seconds long. Now, this hits close to home for me. I have a feeling that whatever bomb he could have let go off, I would have felt it where I was at.
If you crack these windows, it ain't on me. The blood's on your hand. Because I can't set this bomb off, Joe. Only you can. Only your word. Your word fire will set this bomb off. When this bomb goes off, there's going to be 4 more right behind it, and then the Patriots are going to come. Because you don't know where them 4 are sitting. One of them might be sitting right at your back door. I don't want to die, Joe. I want to go home. Just like the people in Afghanistan want to go home. Them people's lives are on your hands. All them dead people's on your hands. Afghanistan, I'm standing for you strong too. The mother should have bombed their asses and made sure you was all right before you left.
Okay, so that's the video right there. So this guy came up from North Carolina to park his truck or his van right outside of the Capitol. And I don't know if y'all could see it, but in the clip, he's holding what looks like some kind of a canister, which I'm guessing the bomb was in. And he said, if you fire, it's going to blow this up and there's going to be 4 more behind it. I don't know what type of explosives that he was going to use, but they did not want to take the risk of shooting at this guy while he's holding his bomb, and it would have been a mess if he had did it. So he did get apprehended and they did take him to jail. I'm gonna go ahead and read this article and see what they're talking about here. A disturbed man parked what he claimed was a truck bomb on Capitol Hill and made live stream threats to Biden, ranting that the South's coming and that the deaths of Afghan people are on your hands before surrendering after a 5-hour standoff on Thursday. Floyd Ray Roseberry of Grover, North Carolina, got out of his pickup truck and gave himself up shortly after cops used a robot to deliver a telephone that he refused to pick up. Capitol Police Chief Tom Manger said during a brief news conference at around 2:30 p.m. In one live stream video made from inside his pickup truck, which was parked on the sidewalk near the Library of Congress across from the U.S. Capitol, Roseberry warned Biden, "You shoot me in 2.5 blocks going with me." Something just tells me he must have had some kind of a C4 bomb, because that sounds like a C4. Like, he said he had enough in there to blow up 2 blocks. The man said, "Don't do it, Biden. Don't pull that trigger. Because if you do, there's 4 more going off and I ain't got my hands on any of them. They're sitting in cars all over this effing place around here because you thought the South wasn't coming. Well, Joe Biden, the South's coming, and I'm waiting on your phone call." The vehicle has since been removed from the scene, and the Capitol Police confirmed that no explosives were found, but possible bomb-making materials were collected from the truck. But an investigation revealed that Roseberry has had some losses of family. So because you had some losses in your family, you was going to make other people suffer, and you was going to use Biden as the excuse as to why he was doing this. And it says that he didn't even have any bombs, so he had bomb-making materials, but I understand why they didn't want to take that shot, because that was a risk that they could have taken in possibly making a bigger situation happen. Earlier, Roseberry posted a series of videos on Facebook in which he claimed to have built a bomb with Tannerty, a two-part explosive powder that's sold over the counter in many states for making targets that blow up when shot with a high-powered firearm. Oh, is that money on the ground? It's money on the ground. I wonder if they threw the money down there to try to get him to get out of the truck. I'm not sure. I know you're watching me. These wires on the side out this side right here. These run down to these wires. This is tannerite. I'm sure they know what it is, he said. Roseberry also claimed that if sharpshooters opened fire, his vehicle and 4 others nearby would blow up. We've got a few options here, Joe, he said in the video, one of 8 that he posted before Facebook took down his account. Congressional offices and the Republican National Committee headquarters were among the buildings evacuated. After quickly evacuated, Roseberry parked his black pickup on the sidewalk in front of the Library of Congress, which sits between the U.S. Capitol and the Supreme Court. The driver of the truck told the responding officer on the scene that he had a bomb and what appeared to be a detonator in the man's hand. At the time, Manger said Roseberry's motives were unknown and he didn't elaborate following the suspect's arrest. In one of the online videos, Roseberry said, "I don't want to die, Joe. I want to go home, just like the people of Afghanistan want to go home. Then people's lives are on your hands. All of them dead people are on your hands, too." Staring straight into the camera, he said, "Afghanistan, I'm standing for you strong. I'm a patriot. I love this land, and I'll die for this land because my grandbabies are going to have the rights I had." He also offered to surrender, telling Biden, "You step down out of office, I'll step down out of this truck. You go home, I'll go to federal prison." Major confirmed that the threats appeared to have been made in a live stream. Asked about rumors that the suspect was a veteran of the Afghan war, the officer said they don't know a whole lot about him. The man used a dry erase board to communicate with police before his surrender, claiming to have a detonator to blow up his truck. Snipers were also sent in as officers tried to work out whether the threat was real. Images during the standoff showed a huge police response. The FBI and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives also responding. Dozens of dump trucks were also sent in to surround the truck, and which did not have license plates, according to CNN. Both the Senate and the House of Representatives are in recess, but staffers are working in the Capitol complex. Police evacuated congressional staff offices nearby, encouraging people to remain calm and use the underground tunnels if necessary to evacuate the area. The White House said it was monitoring the situation and being briefed by law enforcement. The incident comes months after pipe bombs were left at the headquarters on the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee in Washington a day before thousands of pro-Donald Trump rioters stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. In April, a man rammed a car into barriers at the Capitol, killing an officer before the attacker was shot and killed with post wires. Now, one thing that they left out of this article was them talking. I think they had mentioned his girlfriend or whoever he was in a relationship with. She basically saying that of course they did it. They had to do it. The mental illness card. I'm like, here they go. They got to say, oh, he had a mental illness. Of course he had a mental, and don't they all have a mental illness? But they can never tell you exactly what the mental illness actually is. And like someone else in the chat, and like I said in this article, they had a 5-hour standoff with this dude. 5 hours. I wonder what his consequences is going to be. If he's going to even have any true consequences, especially after they yelled out that he had a mental illness or whatever that is. And I wonder if they actually found the trucks that he claimed that he had, because they didn't specify. They said that if he had other trucks like he claimed in that video. Angie said he will be home for the weekend. Jay Black said he ain't got no damn mental illness. What's going on, Didi? But this guy came all the way from North Carolina to pull this stunt, though. The crazy. Another day, another wilding out PC person. No matter from what part of the nation they coming from, doing all of this shit. Let's move on to the next story. And I don't plan to stay on this one very long because I feel like it's already been talked about in vast majority. And that is Andrew Cuomo resigning from being governor of New York amidst those allegations of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and other sexual deviancy. And notice it didn't take long for him to step down either or resign. He didn't put up a fight or none of that. He said, let me just go ahead and get out of here before, it blows up into something even more major than it already is. But what was so funny to me was I was watching this video on Instagram where it's a New York based Instagram page. And it's a lot of New Yorkers up there who was throwing all kinds of parties, and it looked like they were having a whole damn parade in the street of this man resigning. So I'm like, damn, the people of New York really didn't like Cuomo like that? What's going on, Vulcan? But the people up in New York, according to what I was looking at, and it was a lot of people, like they had put out a post saying that they're gonna have a Cuomo is gone or Cuomo is out party or something like that, like the day of him officially resigning, and the next day, people was out there in full force celebrating in the street. Now I don't know too much about this new person that they're bringing in. I forgot her name. I know it's a woman, but I forgot her name. And I think they said she's like the first female governor of New York or something like that. So I don't know too much about her. Maybe people who are from New York can actually give me a little brief rundown about who she is. Because like I said, I forgot her name. Stephanie said Kathy Hochul. Thank you. Kathy Hochul. But she's the one that's going to be taking Cuomo's place in the governor position as of right now. Because they had originally, I think they said they had gave Cuomo like 14 days to resign. That guy was gone before the fifth day. Angie said that woman said abortion is health care. Well, there you go. Jay Black said, I don't care for Andrew Cuomo, but I don't think he did it. The court of public opinion thinks he did, and once the court of public opinion gets a hold of it, that's a wrap. And what definitely hurts him is that it didn't take years for them to come out and say that he did something to them. Unlike with those Cosby clout chasing heifers. But we ain't going to get into that. Stephanie said, have I seen what those women look like? The ones that accuse Cuomo or Bill Cosby? We already seen the ones that were Bill Cosby, and I don't want to see them again. But with Cuomo, they look young. Well, look and actually being is two different things. Well, at least the one that they keep pushing out there the most, anyway. But I've said this before in my videos, and I'll say it now. If you as a man get accused of sexual assault or rape or harassment on the allegation alone will ruin your reputation. Not saying that you did it, but just being accused will ruin you. That's what happened with Bill Cosby. And let's hypothetically say that these women were lying about Cuomo. Look at what it did to him. He had to step down out of his governor position on a lie. I'm hypothetically saying, not saying that he's innocent, but just on the allegation, not on the actual fact that you did something, but just saying you did this to me at this point in time. Because people eat that shit up. People eat it up. I remember I had posted a tweet on Twitter a couple weeks ago. I said, "Has Me Too or Times Up have they ever really truly gone after a female sexual deviant?" And pretty much everybody said no. And the only one they really kind of went after was Asia Argento. But even with her, they handled it with kid gloves. Like they talked about it for a little bit and then it went away. 70 said, the question is who put all of this out there? Probably somebody who doesn't like him. I'm almost certain that Andrew Cuomo probably has a lot of enemies. And you know, I just recently did a video about one of the Times Up leaders. Her name was Roberta Kaplan, and I swear y'all was cracking me up with the comments talking about, you sure her name isn't Robert? Y'all had me dying in that comment section. But yeah, she, helped cover up a lot of Andrew Cuomo shit. So she stepped down, and I bet you they ain't gonna come after her. Somebody said he does. He put the mob away a day after he got in the office. Well, that'll do it because the mob runs heavy in New York. Not saying it's only in New York, but we know it runs heavy there. Jay Black said the J community doesn't like Cuomo. But yep, Cuomo is no longer the governor of New York. And then, it got kind of scary because, last year when they were saying how he was handling the stuff that was going on with WUVID, there was talks of him trying to run, of them wanting him to run for president. That probably was like, oh, hell no, we can't let it get that far. We got to get him out as soon as possible. That way, there's no chance in hell that he could ever run, if he even thought about doing it. Yeah, Jay Black, I was getting ready to say that the nursing home incident. UJ Beck said Fox Soul defended him, but trash Cosby and R. Kelly. That doesn't surprise me. I did a whole part in my live stream a couple weeks ago talking about that funky degenerate and the stuff that he said when it came to the baby. So that doesn't surprise me that they're defending Cuomo, who we know is a white man, versus Cosby or R. Kelly, who are both black men, and then trashing the baby at the same time, who was another black man. That doesn't surprise me. They got to defend Zaddy. How else they gonna get them checks? It may be called Fox Soul, but we know it ain't owned by a black person. That's for damn sure. But yeah, let's move on to the next story. Now, this next story, I was going to do a separate video on, but I said, nah, let me go ahead and just include this into my live stream. And that's this story right here. Now, many of y'all already know that I have done so many stories and videos about Hall T being sent to these female prisons and how that is just an absolute bad idea. I think I did one last week. I did one a couple months ago. I did one last year, and they all pretty much equal out to the same thing, that they do not belong in women's prison. And this story right here is exactly why I said that, because this one takes it a step further. So this is, if y'all see this person on your screen, this is not a woman. Okay? This is a biologically born man. This is a transgender inmate at Chino Prison Facility in YouTube screenshot courtesy of NBC News. So what happened now, you might ask? California prison inmate pregnant after state lets biological men into women's prison. It has come to this, y'all. It has come to this. And I knew this was going to eventually happen. I'm like, they're going to take it a step further. So it was probably a female inmate in there who was probably, I don't know, looking for some companionship with another female inmate, and found out that it was indeed not a woman. They felt something down there. And now that inmate is pregnant. And it doesn't surprise me it happened in California, because remember, California is the state that has passed that SB 132 bill. I talked about that a while ago. I call that the degenerate bill. According to reports, at least one female prison inmate at the Central California Women's Facility has turned up pregnant since the state passed legislation allowing biological men to be housed in biological women's prison facilities. Now, I wonder, does that same thing work for, say, a woman that wants to stay in a men's prison? Something tells me it doesn't, and it shouldn't. Just like this shouldn't apply here either. The group Women's Liberation Front, or WOLF, took to Twitter on July 26, sharing news that they've confirmed at least one woman becoming pregnant inside of CCWF. We have now heard from 7 different people inside of CCWF that at least one woman, possibly more, is now pregnant after being housed with a male felon who was transferred to the women's prison under SB 132. If y'all get the time, make sure y'all go Google that SB 132 bill. And if you stay in the state of California, you should already know what that bill is about. The tweet also retweeted a previous account where Wolf wrote, "Conditions are described as a nightmare's worst nightmare by women incarcerated in California after the passage of @Scott_Wiener," and what a name, SB 132. Now the system is bracing for a wave of pregnancies and increased violence in the facilities. #Stop SB 132. This is, of course, an outcome that people with an IQ above room temperature could have seen coming. They're talking about us, y'all. We all be here have an IQ above room temp. That housing biological men in prison facilities created specifically for biological women were going to result in someone becoming pregnant. This issue at hand is none other than SB 132, the bill brought to life in California that has seen men given the opportunity to request to be housed in women's prison facilities in California. The law itself has such a low barometer for what's needed for a man to be housed in a women's prison facility that all a male inmate needs to do is basically recite some of the lyrics to Shania Twain's "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" to administrative staff, and they're on the path to being housed with women in prison. And officials in California had to know that either the women were going to be sexually assaulted or have casual affairs with these male inmates, because reports show that California is now giving condoms and Plan B to female inmates housed in the prisons. In a report on that aspect from Wolf, the organization says that the prison administration handing out contraceptives to female inmates in a tacit admission that officials knew that acts of sexual assault could happen with the enactment of SB 132. Wolf's report also mocked how male inmates trying to infiltrate women's prisons in California are being coddled in the process, while officials are ignoring the concerns of real women who could suffer from this disastrous law. The men who wish to transfer need only take a laughable right person, right prison class, which covers hard-hitting topics like, you may be asked questions, how will you handle that? Trans fear of being housed with cis, and what's in it for you? Apparently, CDCR believes this is an adequate way of screening the men requesting transfer to ensure that housing them with women is appropriate. All they got to do is fill out some form or some kind of a questionnaire, and boom, they can get housed in prison with other female inmates. And any sort of male inmate, regardless of the crimes they're convicted of, can get themselves in a women's prison in California. Yes, even convicted rapists and those with a history of violence against women can get in. What's all the more concerning regarding the passage of SB 132 is that a poll released back in October of 2020 found that a majority of voters disagree with policies that infringe upon the existence of single-sex areas such as prisons, changing rooms, and homeless shelters. As if issues regarding pregnancy, sexual assaults, and race aren't concerning enough, California is also putting these women at elevated risk of contracting HIV by accommodating the whims of men that either have a gender identity crisis or are looking to exploit the language found in SB 132. We at Law Enforcement Today have previously covered the travesty that is SB 132 in previous editorials. Here's one shared back in June that gives further insight into the language of the bill and how this will be latched on to by male predators in the prison system. I'm not going to read that part because now it goes like into the detailing of the bill, which I've already covered. It's a crazy bill. Like I call it the degenerate bill for a reason. And the person who passed that bill or drafted it up, like they say his name is Scott Wiener or Tom, what last name Wiener? I said, what a name. He's a part of the academy. White guy, part of the academy. And he let that pass. He's also, if y'all didn't know, the same guy that helped pass it where if you identify, I think it's one of the two. It's either if you identify as trans, you don't have to disclose who you are born biologically as to your partner. And then there was another one about the if you had HIV or AIDS, you don't have to disclose to your partner who you're about to have sex with that you are positive. And if they catch it, then you won't go to prison for a felony. Because if y'all didn't know, in the state of California, it is not a felony anymore to pass on knowingly HIV or any type of STD, especially HIV or AIDS, to anybody. Now it's just seen as a misdemeanor. This is the state of California that's implementing that or has implemented that. Carlton Way said he's also part of the small hat committee. Yes. But yeah, when y'all get a chance, go and read up on that SB 132 bill if you are not too familiar with it. Okay. Now I want to get into something a little bit more light. Actually, the next two stories are kind of light. They're actually entertainment based. So I got a question for those in the chat. How many people in the chat grew up with the video game Sonic the Hedgehog? Just put a one in the chat. I should see countless ones from people. Just put a one in the chat if you grew up with the video game Sonic the Hedgehog. Or even watch the cartoon, because it was a cartoon as well. Okay. So, as y'all already know, Sonic the Hedgehog is probably one of the most popular Sega games of all time. It had a cartoon last year, right before the pandemic hit, it had a movie. And I actually saw the movie. I actually reviewed it on my channel too. I really enjoyed it. And it's kind of hard to translate video games to movies, but they actually did it right, especially after they went back and fixed Sonic's image, because that first one they had did not look right at all. And the movie was actually pretty good. Well, in case y'all didn't know, they are making a Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And that's no surprise, because if you saw how the movie ended, you will see that there was definitely going to be a part 2. But they're definitely making a part 2. And this one's going to have Tails and a couple of other characters from the Sonic universe inside of it. Also, but one of the characters is a fan favorite, but more so is the person that they got to do the voice of this character. And that is none other than Idris Elba. So, in case y'all did not know, Idris Elba is going to be voicing Knuckles in the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie, and I love it. I love it. I'm gonna be honest. It caught me off guard. I'm like, they got Idris Elba to play this part. It was like, okay, it is what it is. This is the voiceover. So yes, and Knuckles, as we know, is a fan favorite from that realm. So he will be doing the Knuckles character. Now, someone had asked me on Twitter when I had posted the article last week, will he be using his British accent or will he be using his more Americanized accent? Because if you've noticed, Idris Elba in the last few movies that he's done, he has been using his regular British accent for all of the roles that he's been doing. It's been a while since he's done his Americanized accent. So I don't know if they're going to have him do his British accent for this character because Knuckles does not have a British accent, but I don't know. They might ask him to use his Americanized accent for this role. I'm not sure. But he will be doing the voice of Knuckles in the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie, and the movie comes out next year. I think it comes out next April, if I'm not mistaken, because I think they're still filming it right now. 007 Spice says Stringer Bell is playing Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh, did you see it right there on the screen? So yeah, I think this is going to be dope. I think that's going to be dope that he's lending his voice to such an awesome character. Knuckles is definitely one of the best characters in the Sonic universe. And I'm curious to see what the storyline is going to be because I really did enjoy the first movie. I really did like the first Sonic movie. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with this one. Now, as far as we only know him and the actor who did Sonic in the first movie that they're doing the voiceovers for these characters. I don't know who's doing Tails because Tails is going to be in this movie. I don't know if there's going to be any other characters from the Sonic universe going to be in this movie or Knuckles is going to be the only new character. Well, Knuckles and Tails. So we shall see when it comes out. Oh, the My Voice channel says they're in post production. Oh, so they are done filming. Okay, cool. So they're in post production now. In the post production, of course, that's all the editing and stuff right there, and that's probably why Idris Elba is just getting in now because he will be considered post production more so because he's doing voiceover work more so than anything. So all the production stuff, like all the action sequences and stuff that involve the humans, that's already been shot. Post production is where he comes in to do the voiceover. As you can see, this was posted 10 days ago. So yeah, this should be interesting, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do as far as the voiceover goes with this particular character. And I think what makes it more interesting is that um, I don't think I can remember a movie out. I don't think I can remember a movie where Idris Elba did voiceover work. I'm sure there's probably some out there, but I can't think of any. Vampire Hunter Greg said, please explain the role of Knuckles. I don't play Sonic. Knuckles was basically like he was like the hothead. He was basically he was basically the complete opposite of Sonic. You know how Sonic was the more jokey type of character. Well, you say you don't watch Sonic. Okay, Sonic was more jokey, outgoing, bubbly type of character, where Knuckles was the more headstrong, we got to get shit done type of character. He basically was a character that was usually annoyed by Sonic and his antics. But whenever there was a job that had to get done, that's when he would really team up with him. So I think that's the best way I can explain Knuckles. Knuckles was more like a no nonsense type of character, whereas Sonic was more of a goofy, jokey type of character. Tails, of course, is Sonic's sidekick. So he's pretty much down with whatever Sonic is doing. And that's right. The My Voice channel, Jaleel White did do the voice of Sonic in the original cartoon back in the day. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up, and we can now go on to the next entertainment type of story, and that's involving Colin Kaepernick. So this one right here did not get that much press, but I did come across it last week and wanted to bring this to your attention. You're right, S. Wallace. Yes, Knuckles was a bad person at first, and he was his rival, Vulcan. And then eventually they teamed up. But I wanted to talk about this in this Netflix um, limited series that they're doing on Colin Kaepernick, and it's called Colin Black and White, coming out in November. Netflix limited series, and it says Kaepernick and Ava DuVernay created and produced a 6-episode series about the quarterback's teenage years. It says Netflix has announced that Colin Black and White, the limited series about the life of quarterback Colin Kaepernick, will premiere on the streaming service on October 29th. The 6-episode series, created and produced by Ava DuVernay and Kaepernick, is a coming-of-age story about Kaepernick's pre-NFL youth, tackling the obstacles of race, class, and culture as the Black adopted child of a white family. Those experiences helped shape Kaepernick into the civil rights activist who protested police brutality both on and off the football field. And this is the actor right here who's playing him. His name is Jaden Michael. I agree with that part, Joseph, because you know how she liked to do. I think that's fairly good casting. He kind of looks like him. It says Jaden Michael plays the teenage Kaepernick in the limited series, while Nick Offerman and Mary Louise Parker portray his adopted parents. Kaepernick himself appears in Colin Black and White as the present-day narrator, guiding viewers through his own life story. You don't know Kaepernick until you know Colin, Netflix added. I'm excited to share this first peek into a project I co-created with the incomparable Ava DuVernay over the past couple of years, Kaepernick said in a statement. I look forward to the world meeting the incredible Jaden Michael, a young actor who plays me in my high school years, just a kid growing up in Turlock, California, who wanted to play ball. With his active protests, Colin Kaepernick ignited a national conversation about race and justice with far-reaching consequences for football culture and for him personally. Colin's story has much to say about identity, sports, and the enduring spirit of protest and resilience. I couldn't be happier than to tell this story with the team at Netflix. And how ironic, I'm talking about Netflix and I get a spam email notification about Netflix coming to my email. Too often we see race and Black stories portrayed through a white lens, Kaepernick added when the series was announced in June 2020. We seek to give new perspective to the differing realities that Black people face. We explore the racial conflicts I faced as an adopted Black man in a white community during my high school years. It's an honor to bring these stories to life in collaboration with Ava for the world to see. Now, I hope that they don't like sugarcoat it, because one thing I've always said, and I've said this before, I've always wanted to know or be a fly on the wall for what it was like for a Black child to be adopted into a white household. I've always wanted to know what that was like. So I hope that they do not sugarcoat the experience that Colin Kaepernick had living in a white household in a white neighborhood. So I've always, like, that's something I think y'all probably heard me say before. So I hope that they don't sugarcoat that. And I will watch it, but the thing is, it's a limited series and it says that 6 parts. So I don't know if they're going to do like a dump where they release all the episodes at one time, or if they are going to release it a week by week. I don't know how Netflix is going to do it, but I do plan on wanting to watch it because this does pique my interest because I always want see a little bit of a backstory about him. And Vampire Hunter says this is weird since Kaepernick is not that old. He may not be that old. He's not even old at all. Kaepernick is like what, a year or two older than me, and I'm 32. He's like 33 or 34. So, but it's the fact that his story is going to be very interesting to watch. Let's see. It's an honor to bring these stories to life in collaboration with Ava for the world to see. And that's the whole article right there. But yeah, it should be very interesting because I'm curious. But I will definitely watch it and I will review it on my channel, so I can give some people some perspective about what it's about. And the reason I'm giving this a chance, even with her at the helm, Ava DuVernay, is because I liked 13th and I liked When They See Us. I'm going to just leave it at that. Those were very good. Both of those were very good. So that's why I'm giving this a chance. And because it is about Colin Kaepernick and he has a hand in his own storytelling as well. So that's why I'm going into this, with an open lens. So now we are going to move on to the next story right here. Man, wait till you hear this. Let me enlarge this right quick so y'all can see this. So I'm not sure who the guy is on the left, but I know who the two knuckleheads in the middle, from the middle to the right. That's Laura Ingraham right there in the middle. And on the right is the Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick. I'm going to play this, and I want you to listen to what was said in this 59-second clip.
Are coming after your state really quickly here, and as a response, coming after your state because the increased COVID numbers, hospitalizations, deaths are up in Texas, and there's a direct assault on your governor's policies and your state's policies. Very brief response.
Yeah. Well, Laura, the COVID is spreading, particularly most of the numbers are with the unvaccinated, and the Democrats like to blame Republicans on that. Well, the biggest group in most states are African Americans who have not been vaccinated. The last time I checked, over 90% of them vote for Democrats in their major cities and major counties. So it's up to the Democrats to get, just as it's up to Republicans, to try to get as many people vaccinated. But we respect the fact that if people don't want the vaccination, we're not going to force it on them. That's their individual right. But in terms of criticizing the Republicans for this, we're encouraging people who want to take it, but they're doing nothing for the African American community that has a significant high number of unvaccinated
TikTok
people.
Videos.
So they need to
Okay, so you just heard that right there. Dan Patrick came out of his mouth and said that, well, first he made it a political thing, as usual, and talking about the vaccination and the COVID numbers rising and everything like that in the state of Texas. Let me just say this. Didn't the Governor Wills, who I did a triple P on yesterday, didn't he catch COVID by going to an event filled with people that had nothing but a bunch of white people in it, where none of them were wearing masks, and then all of a sudden he turns up and he gets and tests positive for COVID? But Dan Patrick, the Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who, mind you, is the same guy that said last year in so many words that he would sacrifice his family to save the nation. This is the same Dan Patrick that said that. I will sacrifice my family to save the nation, to save the money. Came out of his mouth right here and put the blame on the rising cases of COVID on Black people because they majority vote for Democrat. And like Stephanie said in the chat, what the hell does being a Democrat have to do with the cases? What does the being a Republican have to do with it? This is the shit that gets me. How is it that every single time this topic comes up, you have people like him have to turn it into a political thing. This virus, this pandemic, whatever you want to call it, should not have anything political involved with it. It's a fucking pandemic. Oh, are you going to say? I'm guessing at one point they were saying that the flu that was a crime by the left, right? What else? Swine flu, H1N1, mad cow, Zika, Ebola. Was those all? Those are all political based viruses. Mind you, the stats as far as black people that live in Texas is small. I think Texas has about a 12% or a little over 12% black population, whereas 74% of Texas population demographic wise is white. Now, what I noticed is that when I was looking at the stats, they didn't have anything on there about Hispanics. And if you remember, a couple years ago, this is pre-COVID, they were talking about how the Hispanic population was going to eclipse the white population in the state of Texas in the coming years. And I believe that coming year is next year, if I'm not mistaken. And what just happened with the census? For the first time ever, white people declined in America, in the US, as far as growth goes. It looks to me what I read a couple years ago on my channel is starting to come into fruition. Let me play it back just a little bit so you can hear it.
That's like to blame Republicans.
Hold on.
With the unvaccinated, and the Democrats like to blame Republicans on that. Well, the biggest group in most states are African Americans who have not been vaccinated. The last time I checked, over 90% of them vote for Democrats.
He said that the largest group of people that are unvaccinated in the state of Texas are black people, and the last time I checked, the majority of them vote Democrat. So you're telling me that in the landmass size that is Texas, because Texas is a big ass state, you're telling me that 12 to 13% of that population is the cause for the vast majority of people in Texas or the state of Texas having a rise in cases. Get the fuck out of here. Dan Patrick. And see, that's a dog whistle because they did the same thing last year. That's a dog whistle to say, oh, it's black people's fault for why these cases are going so high. So if you want to get mad at people because you have to go and do a mask mandate, or if you want to get mad at people because they're going to make it mandatory that you get the vaccine, you can blame it on black people. That's their fault. Stephanie said, and HIV is rising in Kentucky and West Virginia. I wonder why. Exactly. And we know who lives out there, especially in West Virginia. People have to understand a dog whistle language when they hear it. And that was a huge dog whistle right there. And like I said, Texas has a very small black population. As a matter of fact, I think they're the second smallest population in Texas behind Asians. I think Asians is the smallest, and behind them is black people. And then after black people is Hispanics, and then white people. And white people are starting to dwindle on that too, as far as Texas goes. And then everybody else kind of filters in wherever they can fit in. But yet you have Governor Wills who just tested positive, and they want to have all these mandates and stuff like that. Meanwhile, he took the damn scene. He gets tested daily and this time he tested positive. Sunlight said, is Greg Abbott hospitalized yet? I don't know what's going on with Governor Wills. All we know is that he tested positive for COVID. So he might be home. But like I said, keep in mind, this is the same Dan Patrick that said he would sacrifice his family to save the union or the nation or whatever he said. But I remember him saying something about a sacrifice. So that doesn't surprise me that he would even say this. But let me move out of that, and I'm gonna move on to the last topic. And the last topic is a good topic, but it's still something that also needs to be done behind it. But before I go in, before I start the topic, let me give a shout out to My Voice channel on YouTube, who is probably in the chat right now. Make sure y'all give a shout out to him. In case y'all did not know, we've been talking about the Syesha Mercado situation as well as her partner, whose name is Tyron, and the situation with the taking of their children. So the last video that I did was talking about how they took her 10-day, not 10-month, 10-day old baby that she just gave birth to, and putting that child somewhere where we did not know. Well, I'm here to report to you that as of today, Tyron and Syesha got their newborn back. That's the good news. The unfortunate news is that they still are trying to get their son back, the one that got taken first a few months ago. Like, they're still trying to get their son back. So the mission is not completed. It's only half done. But I'm glad that they were able to at least get their daughter. Let me open this up right here. That's a picture of their daughter right there. But it's still some work to be done trying to get the son back. And like My Voice channel said, it was mainly due to the outcry of the people to put pressure on them to, give them their child back, because they did nothing wrong. So now they just have to worry about getting their son. But yeah, definitely shout out to the My Voice channel for really staying on top of this story for the longest, and for filling me in and actually bringing me into the fold to help push this story out there as much as I possibly could. Because as we all know, this story was not on mainstream media like that. To be honest, it didn't really make mainstream media on a small level until this recent occurrence. Stephanie said there's a petition that I posted on Twitter about having that Dr. Sally Smith fired and arrested. Good. Because everyone kept talking about that Sally Smith needs to be dealt with because she's a huge catalyst into why this situation is going on. Buzzer said they got their daughter back. That was fast. Exactly. Now all they have to do is worry about getting their son back. Because that's why it'd be difficult, because like I said, they put the son somewhere they don't know. I think because with the daughter, because it happened so fast, they were able to keep track of this one. But with the son, they kind of just whisked him away and they don't know where he's at. So, we're pulling for him, and the next time that I do a video, hopefully it'll be them saying that they got their son back. But definitely again, shout out to My Voice channel for informing me of this story and helping me to deliver this story to all of you, because if it wasn't for us, I highly doubt that y'all would probably even know that this story existed. And oh yeah, if y'all have not done so already, make sure y'all subscribe to the My Voice channel on YouTube, because he does commentaries as well. Yeah, I saw that one, J.R. Jackson. That was crazy. She was in a hospital and she was leaving, and they literally snatched the baby out of her hand, while the baby was in the car seat, while she was holding the car seat, and literally snatched the car seat out of her hand and detained her. I'm literally, when I saw that, a chill went through my body, and my fist clenched so hard. I almost punched the screen because I'm keep thinking to myself, oh my God, if that baby was not strapped in, that baby could have fell out of the car seat with the way that they pulled at the car seat. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, that's pretty much all the stories that I have today. Shout out to everybody who came through. Shout out to anybody who is new to the channel who is liking or subscribing. As y'all know, next week is going to be our Freestyle Friday, and I know many of y'all like that particular day. Now, I'm going to say this. Next week's Freestyle Friday is not going to be on this channel. I will be going live on my main channel next Friday for Freestyle Friday for the first time in a very long time. It's been a long time since I've live streamed on my main channel. A very long time. I just want to build this one up. It's not like I'm going to just solely go live on that main channel all the time now, but I did want to build this one up. But I will be going live on my Freestyle Friday channel on my main channel next week for Freestyle Friday. And it is a reason as to why that is. I'm not going to say it just yet, but just know it's going to be a celebration. But I'll go into the details about that next week, or maybe it just kind of hit you like a surprise when I do it. So with that being said, I'm about to get up off of here. I will talk to you all later. Remember, tomorrow and going forward, we will be on the main channel, 3 videos at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I still have some more commentaries that I have to record. And with that being said, I will talk to you all later.